Let me ask you something. What do you think happens when you reach $100,000? Do you feel rich? Do you quit your job? Do your problems disappear? Or does nothing happen? Because here's the truth most people don't understand. $100,000 doesn't change your lifestyle overnight. It changes your psychology. It changes your leverage. It changes your risk tolerance. And most importantly, it changes how you see time. Today, we're breaking down exactly how your life changes after you save your first $100,000 and why it's one of the most important milestones you'll ever hit. Let's be honest, the first $100,000 is hard, not because of the number, but because of what it requires. Discipline, delayed gratification, consistency, emotional control, long-term thinking. You can't accidentally save $100,000. You can't impulse your way there. You don't get lucky consistently enough to land there. You build it, slowly, painfully, strategically. And because it requires transformation, it changes you in the process. When you have $1,000 saved, emergencies feel dangerous. When you have $5,000 saved, you feel slightly safer. When you have $20,000 saved, you start to breathe. But at $100,000, something shifts. You no longer feel fragile. Fragility is the constant fear that one mistake resets you. $100,000 creates psychological margin, and psychological margin is power. You stop reacting, you start choosing. Before $100,000, car repair equals stress, medical bill equals panic, job instability equals anxiety. After $100,000, you still respect money. But you don't fear every unexpected event. You can absorb shocks. And when you can absorb shocks, you don't make desperate decisions. Desperation destroys wealth. Stability builds it. At $5,000 invested, growth feels invisible. At $20,000, it's modest. At $100,000, a 7% return is $7,000 a year. That's real. That's momentum. Now your money is producing noticeable results. The shift from "I save money" to "my money works" is profound. You begin to see leverage. This is something nobody talks about. When you have $100,000 saved, you don't tolerate toxic jobs as easily. You can wait for better opportunities. You can negotiate salary calmly. You can say no. The ability to say no is one of the most underrated financial superpowers. Without savings, you need approval. With savings, you have options. Options reduce stress. Before $100,000, you protect everything. After $100,000, you think strategically. You can start a side business, invest more aggressively, relocate, take calculated risks, because you have a base. And wealth is built on base layers. Without base layers, risk feels dangerous. With base layers, risk becomes calculated. Here's something interesting. When people have no savings, they often compensate with visible consumption. Cars, clothes, phones, lifestyle. But once you have $100,000 saved, you realize something. You don't need to look rich. You feel secure. And real security is quieter than status. You become less impressed by appearances, more focused on net worth. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, time feels urgent. You need the next paycheck. You need the next bonus. You need the next opportunity. When you have $100,000 saved, time slows down. You can think long-term. You make decisions based on decades, not weeks. And long-term thinking is where wealth compounds. Here's the paradox. When you reach $100,000, you don't feel rich. You realize how far real wealth is. But instead of discouragement, you feel clarity. You now understand the game. You see how compounding works. You see how discipline builds structure. You stop fantasizing. You start calculating. There's danger here too. Many people hit $100,000 and immediately upgrade lifestyle. New car, bigger apartment, more expenses. and they reset momentum. The real power of $100,000 isn't spending it, it's letting it grow. The milestone is not an exit, it's a launch pad. Something else happens. Savings stops feeling painful because you've seen results. Momentum builds motivation, and motivation reinforces discipline. It becomes a positive cycle. You're no longer forcing yourself, you're optimizing. Buying a house, starting a business, changing careers. With $100,000 saved, you evaluate decisions through a different lens. You ask, how does this impact my net worth? Instead of, can I afford the monthly payment? That shift alone changes your financial trajectory. $100,000 is not financial freedom, but it's financial foundation. It's proof of discipline, proof of consistency, proof that you can delay gratification. And once you prove that to yourself, your identity changes, and identity drives behavior. So how does your life change after saving $100,000? Not dramatically, not externally, internally. You become calmer, more strategic, less reactive, more patient, more confident. And confidence built on capital is very different from confidence built on income. Income can disappear. Capital gives you time. And time is the real asset. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Always consult a qualified professional before making major financial decisions. If you had $100,000 saved today, what would change first? Your job? Your investments? Your risk tolerance? Comment below. And if you want more realistic breakdowns about money, psychology, and long-term wealth, subscribe. We talk about money without hype, just structure. See you in the next one.